Welcome to our pre-Zoom shakalaka on a Thursday. Chaveevah, we got some great guests again.
Yes, we absolutely do. Thank you for joining us. We have Kent Shankle from the Waterloo Center for the Arts and also Jonathan Grieder from the Waterloo City Council. And they're going to be talking with us today about some great things that are happening, great progressive things.
Right. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Yes. We're going to start with you, Kent, because we wanted to tell everyone about what's going on downtown. And Jonathan, have you seen the mural downtown on
Yeah,
the Lafayette?
I took my daughter and we drove by it yesterday, so that we could see it, and it's amazing.
It is. Talk about that, Kent.
Yes, we are so excited. Earlier this week, a large mural went up on the side of a building at the corner of that would be Lafayette and East 4th Street. This is a project. It's entitled "Diversity is Our Strength," and it is. It's the brainchild of a group of people up at the University of Northern Iowa. It's part of a much larger project to stress the diverse nature of our community and how important and wonderful and rich that is, and really reflect it in a visible way. And they've been doing a lot of these wheat paste murals. That's the process that's used. We've been working on this project for a long time, but like many things in March when the pandemic hit, everything kind of got delayed and went off track. And their group started focusing more on the online digital component, the website that's the companion to this project, and getting that all set and so forth. And then just a few weeks ago, as the protests broke out and the Black Lives Matter movement really kind of started to dominate the news, really hit a critical mass point, we said, art is such a powerful venue, a voice for bringing people together, for discussing these issues, for working them through and posing questions and helping people understand, particularly when it's hard to discuss some of those things in words. They're so important and profound that you need to do it with images. And we were saying, what are things that we can do? And so I reached back out to our partners at the university, particularly Dr. Favos and Dr. Meacham, and said, where are we at on this? This relates perfectly to the conversations that are going on now. Can we move this forward again? And everybody stepped forward to get it back on track. They debuted or rolled out their website on Juneteenth. And it was our plan to put this mural up on the wall on Juneteenth, but the weather had some other plans for that, which delayed it. But better late than never, and it is an incredible, much larger than life, monumental group. It's photographs of people that are involved in education in the Cedar Valley, all the way from kids on up through elementary and high school teachers through higher learning as well. And it really shows, as I say, visually represents how diverse our community really is. Sometimes we move in smaller circles and we don't really see that, or certain parts of our community are kind of highlighted or shown in a more visible way. It really shows who we are and celebrates that. And it should be there for the next couple of years at least, for the lifespan of the wheat paste process. While it was organized by that group at the university, and a lot of the students worked on helping to put it up, our Friends of the Art Museum wanted to facilitate it, so they did pay for the cost of the installation. But the university had already taken all the photographs and done the design and done the legwork on the project. So we're really happy to be able to do it, and we think the timing is good, as I say, to kind of bring people together as we deal with the critical issues that we're facing. And there are a couple other public art projects that we're working on as well, but this was one we could get up there.
Right, we heard about the pianos. I love it. Public, this street art is so amazing. Is that what you were going to talk about? The piano?
That is just one of them. That one isn't really tied into kind of the social justice issues that we're looking at, or Black Lives Matter. But the youth art team is considering doing another project that would relate to that, and kind of add another chapter to the Our Freedom Story mural that they did on the riverfront at the Center for the Arts. We're also working with a group of artists who are putting together a project. Sean Page is involved, Lori Dale, Felicia Smith is involved, and they're looking at creating a kind of mass group of kind of sculptural memorials that would be displayed in perhaps one place, and then move around to another place possibly, so that people can kind of see the impact of the social injustices that are happening. Just even the tip of the iceberg. That to present that.
Do you have any timelines? Do you have any timelines for when those might be happening?
They're working on moving that forward as quickly as they can, but they're still putting pieces together and planning how that's going to look. We've also talked about the possibility of maybe it moving into neighborhoods and people in the community being able to get involved if they'd like to have elements of this exhibit in their yards or in their neighborhoods. So it's still evolving. So I hope I didn't let anything out of the bag, but we're working on that. So we'll see.
Well, I'm going to interrupt real quickly because I see Jerome has been waiting for a minute. We're going to introduce another city council member who serves us quite well as Mr. Grieder. We have Jerome Amos Jr. that I will be letting in. And then we're going to keep talking to you, Kent, but I just want our viewers to know who this new guy is that's going to be popping up on the screen, hopefully, in a minute. If he gets his video to work. I think we had a little computer problem here earlier. So, with this Zoom and everything, a lot of things are kind of depending on certain variables.
Yeah, modern technology can be a blessing and a curse. Right now, I'm going to call it a blessing for us to be able to get together like this.
Yes, and thank you so much. And so go ahead, Kent. Now, that was the Black Lives Matter. That had to do with some social things, but let's talk just about the fun stuff. The pianos. I just couldn't wait to get to that part because it's so cool, that whole idea.
Yeah, it's we've seen a lot of other communities across the country have started this trend of just placing pianos out on the sidewalks, and particularly in the downtown area, so that people can just interact, and people will step up to them and start playing. If it's me, it's chopsticks, or I guess I can play Throw a Deer, but that's the extent of my repertoire. But just playing around, people of all ages, everybody loves to kind of like mess around on a piano. Some people are really good, so sometimes people will step up to a piano in those public arenas and do an impromptu concert for people. We thought that was a great thing. I've encountered them in other cities and had a great time with them, and we wanted to bring that here. But we're also, instead of just putting pianos out there, we're creating art and getting that out in the public view as well. So we've invited a whole range of artists to paint these pianos so that they're works of art, they're little musical masterpieces out on the streets. So we've got
and Jonathan, Jonathan, you play piano, right? And you paint?
I wish that I were that talented. I can make a noise on a piano.
Well, Chaveevah, I think what about this whole piano thing with COVID and everything? When is this going to be going on? Will you be having pianos on the street? Do you have people to jump in and clean them? And what about those considerations now? Does that change anything?
The logistics, yeah.
They'll be out on the streets, and each one will be have kind of a sponsor, a business or an organization that will put it out each day, and at night they will roll it back in. And of course, during inclement weather, they'll roll it in. They're all on dollies, And so I would encourage people to bring, everybody should be doing this anyway. Everybody should be carrying around their hand sanitizer or their disinfectant wipes. So, you know, if you're, because anywhere you encounter a surface, if you want to be able to, you know, interact with it, you want to be able to clean it up. So since they'll be out on the street, you know, we'd encourage people to do that. And we do plan to roll them out yet this summer. We have
All right.
6 or 7 artists working now, and we've got more that are starting up.
All right. What do you think about that, Chevy?
I think that's great. I mean, it's giving, providing a space for artistic expression on a lot of different levels. It's giving artists something to do. It's giving musicians something to do. And it's providing a way for people to interact in these new COVID-19 times that, you know, didn't exist before. But, you know, that's what I love about people. Will always find a way.
And art is the perfect way. And we love you, Kent, and thank you for being our art guru, because when you think about Waterloo art and culture, you automatically think of Kent Shankle. We're so glad you're here and that you do what you do.
Yeah, and I've been glancing at my phone watching this live. Thanks, folks, for tuning in.
Yes. We're going to be talking to Jonathan. Go ahead, Kent.
Oh, can I also, since we're talking about fun, I want to make sure people know about something else that's really fun that is coming up. We're really excited that we will be able to present the mayor's fireworks this year, red, white, and blue. We call it red, white, and blue. It will look a little different because we can't cram everyone out down on the amphitheater downtown this year in a small space. We want to be safe. We are the Waterloo Center for the Arts, the Mayor's Office, the City of Waterloo, Main Street Waterloo, are partnering with Lost Island Water Park to present the fireworks this year. And they'll be shot off in the vicinity of the KOA camp and near Lost Island. So they'll be visible all over the south side of Waterloo, south of Highway 20 and in the LaPorte Road and San Martin area. And they won't be visible from Hawkeye Community College, however, just because of the lay of the land, the terrain there. Radio station 93.5 The Mix will be providing music that's timed to the fireworks. So everybody can come out in their cars, be safe, play the radio, hear the music. It's kind of old school. I remember this is how we experienced fireworks when I was a kid. Everybody is asked to stay in their vehicles, observe social distancing, respect the private properties around, and pick up their litter. But everybody can come out. We can have a huge crowd out to enjoy the fireworks. And thanks to our sponsors, Lost Island, of course, AECOM, ASPRO, Viridian, 93.5 The Mix, Corn Country 106.5, and KWWL.
Yes, and there is Jerome. He got to get in on the last little bit of, we're talking about the fireworks coming up. And that's on the 4th of July. What date is that, on the 4th then, or the?
That is on the 4th of July, and 4th of July falls on a Saturday this year. So it will be Saturday, July 4th at 10 p.m. And it should be a really spectacular show. Those mayor shows are always really, really good. This one I think is going to be even bigger, and out on the edge of town, they'll be able to shoot them up much, much higher. So they'll be visible for a long range. And, you know, lots of the other communities have had to cancel their fireworks displays. So hopefully we'll have lots of people coming from all over our region to celebrate.
Going to be a big success, Chaveevah.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to it. All right.
Thank you again, Kent. And we're going to go ahead and start talking to our 2 council members. Chaveevah, we wanted to have Pat Morrissey as well, but he's vacationing in Minnesota. So what can we say?
Yeah, and but look for him and any other council members that would be so inclined to join us, because there's always some great stuff that's going on. And so that's an open invitation for you all to join us and talk about it. So again, thank you for being with us today.
Yes, go ahead, Chaveevah. Handing it over to you.
Okay, all right, Jonathan, just before we got started, you had began talking with some new things, some new measures that have gone through, have been discussed, implemented, whatever, through the council. Would you care to share with the audience those things again?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are just in the planning stages for a lot of Councilman Amos, Councilman Morris have all been working because the time is right to have, actually the time's long past due to have these discussions about racial justice in Waterloo. And so Councilman Morrissey called upon all of us to act a couple of weeks ago with a series of reforms that we would like to see implemented here in Waterloo. So two of them look at sort of the large scale community-wide institutional things that lead to disparities between races here in Waterloo. So one of the things we're pushing for is a racial profiling ordinance. CCI out of Des Moines is pushing one of these. It requires that basically it bans racial profiling, especially as it relates to police officers and their interactions with the public.
It bans racial profiling? How do you ban racial profiling? I don't understand.
Yeah, so what it does is it bars things like pretextual stops, where you might be stopped for a broken taillight and then that's used to search your vehicle for other things. Banning the stopping of people because they were in a neighborhood that someone doesn't think that they should be in just because of the color of their skin. It would create a citizens review board that would look at things like the use of force used by police officers and make sure that guidelines are being followed. It would make sure that we have implicit bias and de-escalation training for city staff, and would look at how we prioritize marijuana possession. This is something that Des Moines is also working on. And it's really important because we know that racism can look like certain specific actions or certain specific words, but we also know that it can be institutionalized in structures of power. And so this ordinance is a way to get at that. One of the other things that we're looking at is what's called the Racial Equity and Social Justice Toolkit, which is when we have projects, we just look at how they'll impact communities of color, because we know in the long history of the United States that, like the highway system, in many places, highways were built and eminent domain was used in communities of color to build highways, and that has a negative impact on those. So this is a tool that we could use to look at and just ask ourselves the question of, if we do this, how is it going to impact our communities of color in Waterloo? So those are the two broad pieces that we are looking at. We are also looking at some police reform. One of the big things that we've heard is the insignia. Some people have an issue with that, so looking at making some changes there. Banning the use of things like tear gas, rubber bullets, flashbangs, things that are illegal under the Geneva Conventions to use during times of war.
And military style weapons, right? And
right.
Jerome, is that, oh, Jerome keeps just popping in and out. I'm almost afraid for him to get started talking because he may disappear right in the middle. So I think we have a bad connection. But so the military style, are you able to hear us, Jerome? We haven't talked to you yet.
Yeah, my internet is unstable. It keeps popping in and out on me. I keep losing you all.
Yeah. Well, what would you like to add about that? The timing of all of these changes, it certainly seems to be something that's been long overdue, but what do you attribute to these changes being made and these policies being reviewed?
You know, for me, it's one of those things, you know, Jocelyn, I've been active my entire life, and so many times it's always been meeting. Looks like I'm going to be lost here again, but so many times it's about meeting, and no action.
Right. And so we understand that that could be something, but there's something that started to change things. And I believe that
Jonathan, Councilman Morrissey and I have been talking about there's a lot of work to be done. And one of the things I did point out to Councilman Morrissey is this policing aspect of things is just one part of what needs to take place from a standpoint of looking at the different things that are going on in our community that are keeping people from progressing. You know, like I say, I've been involved a long time, and it's just a matter of it's time for action. You know, I have a grandson who's 20 years old at Iowa, not Iowa, but at Iowa State, and he is actually
that
again, we're having a few technical difficulties, but I'm sure everyone can follow along very well.
Year,
right.
But he's actually a junior, and he's, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's time to make some changes. I'm so glad to have you two representing us in the city council. And I know that the city council meetings are aired on the same channel that we're on. So I believe
right.
on WCTV. And what time can people watch those council meetings? And which one, I mean, are there some coming up that are going to be talking about these things progressively here in the near future that people might want to tune in or actually be there physically for? Or
the council meetings aren't, Jonathan, the council meetings aren't really open to the public right now, are they?
If you want to make a comment, you can contact the city clerk's office and they can send you. You can send. They can send you the link. I believe that we've had a few people in the council chamber socially distanced. I would expect that
coming up in July, as we start to piece things together, that we will start to see these pieces. We did talk about the racial equity and social justice toolkit last week. But they're aired every Monday. They start with our work sessions, which are usually starting around 4. So coming up in July, I would certainly expect to see some of these things. I would also encourage all of the people who are watching and everyone for them to contact all of our colleagues on the council. You need 4 votes to get anything done on the council. There are 3 of us. I'm not saying people aren't in support of this, but action happens from elected officials when our constituents tell us that action needs to happen. And so I would strongly encourage people to email us, call us, Facebook us, whatever they want to do, because the time is overdue to make Waterloo a more just community. And we're going to do our part, but we need all the votes we can get.
Exactly. And Chaveevah, we talked about having Pat Morrissey on another show, and we are, like Chaveevah said at the beginning, we want to extend that to you guys. Come on, just inbox me on Facebook. If you want to email us, you can email Chaveevah takes care of that at northendupdate@gmail.com. Let us know what's going on and what the community needs to know. We'd be more than happy to entertain any subjects that you guys want to talk about and get that information out there.
Definitely, because you have both touched on some things that I personally would love to hear a lot more about, but we don't necessarily have the time right now. But I'd like in future for us to talk more about that implicit bias training and what success would look like as far as the outcomes from that. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
Something that affects us all.
Yes.
So what do you think about all that, Kent Shankle?
I actually, I used to have to go to the city council meetings every week to represent the cultural arts department.
Apologize.
And I don't have, they restructured things so that we don't, not all the department heads go. And I'm hearing what's going on at the meetings, and I'm kind of missing going out there and being a part of that every Monday night.
Right. Well, I'm glad I should have known you'd be involved. Right, Chaveevah?
Absolutely.
That kid, he's everywhere. Well, I'm so sorry our time is up. And Jerome, I'm so sorry about your internet connection. Seriously, you know, it's a crazy time.
I have another.
Okay, I think he's frozen again. So the last thing I want to say is make sure you watch our show tomorrow, which will be a live show from somewhere. It will not be on Zoom. So make sure you join us live with Representative Roz Smith, and we'll talk about some of the concerns that are on everybody's mind. Jerome, are you? So I think
yeah, I'm here, but like I said, my internet is acting up, so I'm going to have to unplug my modem and try again, I guess.
okay, well, we're all done. Our show is wrapping up, but thank you so much for joining us.
And
We
All right.
we
yeah,
definitely mean that too, about extending the invitation to get with us at other points in the future and talk about what's going on. So again, thank you.
yes. Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
All right, well, that wraps it up for today's pre-boom, but we do want to remind you to join us tomorrow at Boom Shakalaka O'Clock. And we want you council people to keep doing more of what makes you awesome, Chaveevah and Kent.
Because it makes us all look good.
That's right. Thank you. See you next time.
Thank you.